Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Visual Novel Book Club. I'm your pal, slowbeef. With me, of course, is Polahoko.
Hey, guys.
Ty Tuesday.
Yeah.
My friend Jim.
Howdy.
Devious Vacuum.
That's me.
That's you. We went through days.
Rude. Sorry, I'll get on with it.
Was that rude? I'm sorry. I had no idea.
It's been a rough night for everybody around here.
Apparently it has, yeah. But listen. We got 2 days of Takeshi to go through. We're on day 3, trapped in Lemieux on this weird alternate timeline kind of thing going on. D-Vac, you want to take us away?
All right. Well, the gang slept in the conference room and wakes up, and Takeshi goes to wake up Coco, who's still partially asleep, and mentions her brother, which is only relevant because she did call Kid her brother in the other timeline. They all head to have breakfast. Takeshi makes hot dogs for breakfast, and all the hot dogs are actually there. Is there only one group of hot dogs? We don't know. Let's see. Tsugumi puts too much ketchup and mustard on her hot dog and eats it. So she eats another bad sandwich, but this one was not one that Takeshi made for her as a prank. It was one that she has inflicted upon herself. And Kid still has the bad feeling about something that's going to happen on the second floor, which eventually leads to a problem, just like in the other timeline, but it's a different problem.
Ty, are you okay with a hot dog, the sandwich thing?
I mean, what's the problem?
No, nothing. I was just curious because I heard something referred to as a sandwich. So
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. Right, I'm a professional slowbeef. Please.
All right.
Some of us here are not trying to start fights. All right, I ride waves. I don't make them. But I will say, ketchup on a hot dog is a travesty. But I digress.
What?
Fully sport. Cosign.
Get the fuck out of here, the two of you.
No.
Oh my
Not
god,
okay.
the two Tsugumi Route people. This is weird sort of
That's what it's
personality
really
test
been.
thing that's coming. Yeah, right?
It devolves down to Team Ketchup and Team Mustard, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
I'm sorry, it's team mustard, onions, a little bit of pickle relish, some a nice spear, you know. Gotta make a proper Chi-Town dog.
By the way, did we get
What a dog.
we got a choice at the end of this, right?
We have a
Yeah, it
choice.
was,
Do you want another hot dog?
it was a
Or where did you? Wait, no, it goes. Where did you go this morning?
or do you want another hot dog?
Yeah.
I just chose do you want another hot dog because I was like, I want to see her do that again. Just load them up with mustard and ketchup.
Very predictably, by the way. Oh no, I'm sorry. If you ask where do you want, if you ask her if she wants another hot dog, that's a Tsugumi point for you.
Nice.
Yep, there you go.
I'd never turn down a dog, giving somebody a dog. Like, that's just rude. If you have them.
Apparently Uchikoshi agrees with you. So,
It's wise. It's wise beyond his years.
wise man, yes.
Hi. I reconnected, by the way.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so
was
there's going to be a
storm
part
your
where
area?
I'm talking over everybody about my theories on Chicago hot dogs. So just as a record, because I
All
also
right.
disconnected for a split second. So you can edit that in wherever you want, buddy. It's free
Wild
Chi-Town
night.
hot dog talk.
It is a wild night. We started late and everything. Okay. All right. So hot dogs get you a Tsugumi point. That's the only thing I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
To asking where she was this morning get you a Sora point?
No, that's a
gets you
stupid
nothing.
question. Yeah, that's
It's
a useless question. The only question worth asking is, do you want a hot dog?
Obviously.
Unless you don't want to get Tsugumi points because you don't want the Tsugumi end.
Right. That's true too. But there's another big thing coming up besides points, by the way. But we'll see. Anyways, what happened? We got
Sora comes in just like in the other route. She shows up after there's a boom sound, and they're like, "Oh, something's happening on the other floor." Sora shows up and it's like, "Oh, sorry, I overslept," which again doesn't make sense. Although there is one line of dialogue that like implies that she had to like be rebooted for system maintenance or something this morning.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
scheduled
she-
server maintenance.
She said she overslept, and Takeshi's like, that... Takeshi, for once showing some kind of, like, cognizance, is like, that makes no sense.
Yeah, that's not a thing computers do.
Yeah. And then, like, Sora turns into, like, an 80s AI, it seems like, because he's like, it's kind of cute that you said you overslept. And she's like, oversleeping is cute. That doesn't compute. Beep, boop, blip. Like...
Yeah. But it's blushing, which is confusing that you'd have both of those. Like, that seems like you'd either get one end or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
That's... that's our Sora.
Yeah, exactly. The programming to understand blushing is like way more advanced than the programming to understand oversleeping.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Embarrassment versus the concept of a thing you do being a little goofy. I don't know, it's odd.
And don't even get me started when she started reading all those books really fast.
I
Is
won't.
that a weird science reference?
I watched Short Circuit last week.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
Short Circuit.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Oh, man. You are dating yourself there. Pula. I haven't seen Short Circuit in a long time.
Remember when Parker Stevenson
totally
played a
forgot.
really racist version of an Indian guy?
No, actually, I don't. Oh, wait, yes. Now it's coming back to me.
Yeah, that is not an Indian dude.
That's right. I forgot all about that. Ever 17. Where were we?
What happens next? There's Takeshi, Sora, and Coco and Tsugumi go to investigate what's going on while Kid watches from the control room. So I looked back, and because I didn't quite remember what had happened last time. So last time there was like a pipe that had burst or cracked or something, but they fixed it very quickly. Like it wasn't even really... There wasn't a lot of time dedicated to this. And in this case, they show up at the warehouse, and I was like, why did they take Coco with them? Because she's like a child, but okay, whatever. And start trying to do repairs. And Sora, like, can't go in with them because the sensors are messed up, but she can't really help anyway because she can't hold anything. So it's really Takeshi and Tsugumi, and then Coco is, like, kind of helping.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, and I mean, kind of helping in like a very vague sense of the term, I think.
I think it's just they needed another pair of hands. So
Yeah.
it's just like, hold this pipe up here.
Coco, somehow more competent than Kid. Oh, and then
Right.
Yu is, like, fucked off somewhere else. I think she's doing the same thing, probably looking for her parents' information on a computer somewhere.
Oh,
'Cause
right,
that's what she was
yeah.
doing in the other timeline.
So,
Right.
this is where they give you a choice to go clockwise or counterclockwise.
Yeah, this is kind
stuff.
of a bullshit. This is kind of a bullshit one.
Like, I just assumed they weren't safety valves, so loosening would be counter and then tightening would be clockwise. But the thing is, once we explain what happens next, which we might as well, everything goes wrong,
Yeah.
Yeah.
is kind of what happens. I'm pretty sure I got both choices correct, I think.
I'll tell you this, no matter, so you get two pipes, like you say, counter and clockwise, that you have to choose. It's pretty much random. Like, Tsugumi's explaining it, Takeshi's mind wanders, and she goes back and she's like, turn this one the way I told you to, and same for the second one. And you, honestly, it's a blind guess, 50-50. If you turn the first one counterclockwise, you get a Tsugumi point.
Nice.
If you turn the second one clockwise, you get another Tsugumi point.
Oh, yeah, I did that.
I'm rolling in Tsugumi points, baby.
Oh, so yeah, it's counter then clock. No matter which way you do these pipes, though, it all goes wrong. And I think there's like variable flavor text on how much guilt Takeshi feels for things going wrong, you know. But I guessed, even though I knew it was a blind guess, I didn't look it up, and I got it pretty wrong. So my pipes like swelled up and burst.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I mean, I went righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. There's only so much I can do.
It was a shit show.
So
honestly.
it's a little weird what goes wrong, but it's basically like everything seems to be fixed, and then shit just blows up. And there's like scrap flying all around the room or something like that. Water's flooding in very quickly. There's debris. Some of the debris goes flying at Coco because, of course, they brought the wee tot, who's actually not a tot, but whatever. And debris is flying at her. and Tsugumi just leaps in the way and gets impaled as hell.
Yep.
Yeah. She's got a bunch of shit on her, like beams and crap, and it looks like, because I'm looking at the graphic now, like a big pipe in her leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like through her
Just
leg.
impaled.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty severe.
Yeah, and it's totally impossible. Like, I think at one point they mentioned she severed the artery in her thigh, which would kill you in a matter of
severed the
minutes.
artery and a compound fracture.
Yeah, no, she wouldn't survive that thing. Nope.
And she's pretty calm during all of it. I mean, relatively speaking. She has that kind of like, I'm really injured and I'm gonna just grit my teeth through it.
And she wants
to.
Takeshi to leave her there. She's like, you guys get out of here, whatever. Leave me here to die.
Yep. And then the water in the room from all the burst pipes starts filling up. So, yeah. I'm sorry. So then what happens? Takeshi, I think, is like tells
he
Coco.
Like goes
go ahead.
underwater. Yeah, he gets Coco. He's like, Coco, get out of here and tell the others. Then it starts filling up over the door. He like dives underwater and I guess like either pulls Tsugumi off of the pipe or pulls the pipe out of her and grabs her and pulls her underwater and swims with her up to an emergency elevator or emergency ladder that is in the top corner of the room, which like is really intense.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it was like he's aided by the extra buoyancy once the water is filled up. Yeah, to that level. I had kind of gotten the impression that he hadn't like. I guess that he didn't really pull anything out of her leg or anything like that, and like, the image makes it look like she's got this thing just stuck through her. But I think I took it as like she was trapped and this thing was piercing her leg. But like when he lifts it up, he does manage to free her and extricate it.
Yeah, he just like slides her off the post is what I thought it was, because it's like,
that's the only
it was like
way
something
that makes
in the
sense,
ground that was sticking up. So as soon as like he couldn't just lift her off, but as soon as there was enough water, he yanked her off. Which it's kind of one of those things of, do you take the thing out of a person in a very bad way, or do you let them drown? And the answer, I guess, was just kind of go for it.
Yeah,
which Tsugumi protested the entire time. Was not interested at all in being saved in any way.
Nope. No, she's very much like, leave me, I'm done for stuff. And Takeshi, dumb lovable Takeshi is just not gonna have it.
Fuck your agency.
And then she's like, you're just such a stubborn idiot. And she's like, shut up and keep quiet. And some of us didn't want to love her. But, anyway.
Amazing. So she goes to the infirmary. At first, and you might be thinking at home, well, how does Sora feel about this? But she immediately shows up and is like, we need to help her. They take her to the infirmary. Sora and you, Sora gets you to help her, and they said like Sora uses a robotic arm to move things around, in the infirmary. And together they give Tsugumi stitches. You does it with Sora's instruction.
Right.
Which, okay, but that must be pretty traumatic for you, and she does seem pretty traumatized by it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she has in the games world, forceps, sutures, and a laser scalpel.
Yeah, a laser scalpel.
Yeah,
Right.
that seems
You can't
necessary.
just do it with steel, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
always good for the amateur, giving them a laser scalpel.
Well, like, the thing too is like stitching somebody's artery up doesn't seem like something you'd want to do a lot of cutting while you're doing. That seems like maybe the last thing you'd want to do. I don't know. That just seems odd.
It's a laser, though. I mean,
Yeah, it's a laser. It just it's sure it says scalpel, but it seals too. It's laser glue.
It's cauterizing, I guess.
Just dump some nanites at it.
Yeah, just cauterize both ends of the artery. Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Good. Whatever,
blood.
right? That's how it works.
Blood's for chumps. Get in here, Tsugumi.
We've got a nano machine we stick in the artery. It clears everything up, too.
There you go. Right. So what happens? So surgery starts, and what do you call it? Oh yeah, Coco Takeshi's like waiting outside, I think, right? And Coco comes up and she's just like, in my game, she was kind of like, felt kind of guilty about it. Like, she's like, this is sort of my fault, you know? And then Takeshi's like, no, it's really mine or whatever. And they have like, anyway, like, Yu comes out and she's like, really tired, more or less, I think is what happened, right? And then
it seemed like she was a little in shock, honestly, and was just kind of being like, I do not want to talk about what just happened. I'm very tired, you know, like that kind of thing. And it's like, you just put yourself under a huge amount of stress. Like doing a surgery that's possibly life-saving when you're not a doctor in any way, shape, or form. It's kind of some shit. So I think it was kind of I need to be gone for a minute. I'll bye kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of played up that she has some kind of basic survival skills, like stitching, you know, her finger together after she cut it. But this is pretty major.
Yeah, this Yu likes to go outside and, like, Bear Grylls it up on the weekends, which is maybe different than the other Yu in the other timeline.
Bear Grylls it?
You know, the survival guy? The guy that goes out and it's a show.
I didn't.
Famously drinks his own piss. Yeah. Probably the most random thing he's known for.
I knew Ty would know about it.
Yeah, he's like, drinking pee tastes good, says Bear Grylls.
Yeah. Bear Grylls is actually his name. It's not an action.
Oh, that's his legal name?
Yeah.
I mean,
his name
he
is Bear
may
Grylls.
have, at one point, grilled bear. We don't know, but yes, it's his name as well.
Yeah, it's called nominative determinism.
Alright, let's see here. So
then Takeshi just, like, wanders around, and he comes back into the infirmary later, and Yu and Kid are fixing the LMRI, just like in the other timeline, and they don't talk about whether or not it's been plugged in this whole time, but Yu is like, Kid's helping me, and he's really good at helping me. He's, like, strangely good at random things, like being able to read schematics really well. And they're like, well, that's how strange, and that's about all that goes.
Well,
right, because then
Takeshi says something along the lines of like, well, we should probably make him do something more useful when he's like that, when he's in smart boy mode. And they're just like, what? That's not how that works. Like, what are you talking about? He's just like,
idiot.
Well, I figure if he got hit in the noggin and got smart, well, then, you know, he should use him before he gets hit in the head again and becomes dumb again. It's like, it's not the fucking episode of The Simpsons where he jammed a crayon up his nose. Like, what? This kid's got amnesia. Like, he's got a problem. It's not cartoons. And they, like, basically roast him on that. They're just like, it's not a cartoon, you dumbass. Like, what are you talking about? Okay.
Right.
There's so much awkward dialogue in this story of, like, people getting things wrong. And although it may be realistic to have people just, like, you know, screw up that in casual conversation, it really makes it very difficult because you don't know, like, what is this? Is it meaningful? Is it not meaningful? Which is the truth? Because we've got time travel, we've got robots, we've got RSDs. I don't know. It's strange. And there's a lot of dialogue like that in this game.
This route in particular, because Takeshi seems to be like a guy that just throws out stupid jokes all the time. Like, half of them hit, half of them miss.
Yeah, I think he mentions that at one point too. Like, I forget when.
He does.
Later, he's just like, I kept making these jokes, and everybody kind of played along, but they also knew they were stupid.
He's like saying like they were starting to get annoyed, but they kind of laughed along because we just needed to not think about the fact that we were in a death trap that's slowly closing in. we needed to not focus on that, so I was making awful jokes and everyone was starting to get annoyed, but at the same time, like, it was better than nothing.
I'm liking Takeshi a lot more in his route than on you or Kids, rather. You know.
Yeah, he seems much more like a competent adult in this.
Also, in Kids' route, he wasn't really around that much. Like, he was a non-entity.
Yeah, whenever he was around, he was just a creep.
Yeah.
That's true, right?
And he does make a couple of jokes at Yu's expense, but he doesn't creep on anybody like he does in the other route the same way. Like, I mean, he has his romance options, but even his romance options are, like, he doesn't creep on them the same way. Like, he's, like, earnest.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. He seems like a totally nice boy. I'm trying to remember in Kids Route if he was. I know he was creepy with the fuck dream.
Yeah, but we also don't hear the fuck dream in this route. Like, we assume it happened, but we never hear the details.
Right, he just has the ink on him, yeah, but we don't know exactly why this time.
Right.
It could be something different.
None of the like, Yu doesn't ever say like, oh, I don't want to be alone with him, right? Which you and Mayo both say in the other route.
That's true.
And also,
That's
we're
true.
playing as Takeshi, and we haven't gotten any internal dialogue that suggests he has creepy tendencies. So maybe this is like you; it's a different Takeshi.
And not to get back on it, it's just funny because you'd expect this route to have been like completed puzzle pieces. Like we find out, like you find out maybe he's dreaming about something else that was interpreted as a fuck dream. Like if you had done Takeshi's route, you don't know why he's inked. Then you do Kids Route, and now you figure it out and you're done. Except everything is so divergent, it's hard to know what to make of what.
Yeah, yeah, that's more of the stuff we maybe should save for the end about like theories. But I would say that like they do emphasize the current date. It seems more in this route than others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do bring it up a lot, and they talk about it in relevance to age and stuff, and that's brought up later as well. I think it might be day 5, because oops, I read ahead.
So Takeshi goes and then like looks at Tsugumi, who's unconscious, and her leg is in a brace because her thigh bone was broken. And she's got an IV in her, and it's just a weird situation. It seems like she was in a lot worse shape than that. And while she's lying there unconscious, he, I think, apologizes, or he's like, I'm sorry I did that. Or he just says, I'm sorry over and over again.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, he thinks to himself, like, I couldn't get any other words out. I was just kind of repeatedly saying, like, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm so sorry. And he's like, I wanted to say something else. I wanted to be mad, but I couldn't really. So I just kind of stood there apologizing because I felt terrible about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sora appears. And Sora in this, she is appearing more and more. Now that it's out that she's an RSD, she's like appearing more and disappearing more, and it's more casual. And she wants to go to talk to Takeshi about something, but it's a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a choice here about whether or not you go with Sora. So those of us who picked Sora went out to talk with her, and those of us who picked Tsugumi, I guess, stayed.
That's roughly right. I stayed. I went to talk to her, and there you go.
So if you go talk to her, we go to the dolphin carousel. So at first I thought this was going to be serious, but then we found ourselves at the dolphin carousel.
Right.
Situation normal.
Dolphins all fucked up.
Yeah. Situation. Damn it! It doesn't make snafu.
No, it doesn't. No.
All right. No, it doesn't. Nothing happened there.
Situation normal, all plugged up.
Staying with Tsugumi, I can't even remember what it was, other than you don't go with Sora. I think it's... she just says, like, we can't really speak here. I kind of want to be somewhere more private. And you're just like, okay, well, bye.
Yeah, he's kind of like, I want to stay here for a little while longer to watch, kind of like, he doesn't outright say, I want to watch over Tsugumi longer, but, like, I think that's, like, generally kind of how it's taken. I have news for you, though. This is what happens with this choice. Because there is something besides that. This choice, will, of course, get you a Tsugumi or a Sora coin, like you expect. But, if you go with Sora, you have locked yourself out of Tsugumi for the rest of the game.
Oh, wow.
It's a lock point, yeah. And it's a little tough to follow the flowchart logic. If you don't go, I think that, like, kind of ends up locking you into Tsugumi. It's just a little tough to read the, you know what I mean, like, all the, like, the if then else stuff is, like, downstream from it. And it looks like that more or less, but at the very least, saying, yeah, I'll go with Sora, locks you toward, I'm going to attempt a romance with Sora, or out of Tsugumi. Anyway.
That was the choice.
Yep, and we get to meet Sora at Dolphin Carousel for, like, a little micro date, I guess.
This is all weird. This is real weird stuff happens at the Dolphin Carousel, y'all.
Whatever happens at the Dolphin Carousel stays there.
So they're on the Dolphin Carousel. Sora's talking about herself. She says that she came online in 2011. which is 6 years ago from the time that this is happening.
Right.
So she's 6 years old. And she starts out by saying, "Oh, Takeshi, do you want to play tag?" And he's and he's like, what? Like, what? And so I'm like, okay, well, is this a romantic thing? Are they going to play romantic tag? What's romantic tag? Let's play tag romantic.
Let's go to grandparents.com and find out.
Romance tag rules.
I thought you said grandpants.com.
Yeah, that too, sure. It's on both sides.
You need a pair to play romantic tag.
Get at my grandparents.
So Sora starts splitting into copies. So she starts like blipping around all over the place and is like, "Oh, you can't catch me," because she can project herself anywhere. And then she makes copies of herself. And a thing that we didn't say is when she came to ask Takeshi to leave with her, she was not visible to the other people in the room, you and Kid. So it's now all of a sudden she's like breaking all of these rules that we thought that she had hard and fast, like could not do. Not so much that she said that because she was like, "Oh, I programmed to be a certain way," but it seems like if she wants to, she can just break these rules.
Oh, right. Yeah.
At least in this instance, yeah.
Yeah, and without his permission, because he is like weirded out by it. So it's not like, "Oh, well, if you give me permission, I can do it." It's like she can just do it, whatever. And so she splits into multiple copies of herself, and she's kind of like, she acts kind of drunk. She's like being really silly and like, "Woo, isn't this fun?"
Yeah, and like, is this when she starts like, I'm sorry, I'll let you keep going so I don't get too far ahead.
So Takeshi's like, what is this? Come back over here. And she's like, about to have, so they have this like philosophical conversation, and it starts with her saying, and I wrote this down because it was important, "Takeshi, are you aware of the clone law? Human cloning was allowed in 2010. So that's really important for us and all of our theories.
Huge flag.
So human cloning was allowed in 2010, and they talk about how it was mainly used for people who were infertile and wanted to have a child. So I guess they like you have your own clone baby of yourself. And
seems fucked up. Just for the record, that seems fucked up.
That's a little weird. But Sora then talks about like perfectly duplicating an intelligence. And like the idea, so she's trying to explain to him what she is doing to herself, which is apparently more like she's creating multiple instances of herself, like she's multi-threading, rather than she is just projecting 3 different images. But I'm not totally convinced that that's what's going on, because that wouldn't make any sense. But not talking about it from a programming perspective, she's just talking about, well, like, I can make multiple instances of Sora. And, so, and then each instance of Sora then is a split in a timeline where they were the same person up until this Y-shaped branch, much like in a visual novel. And now they're 2 different people, but they were one person at the beginning of that branch. And if
the
you
entire
could see
reason
all the
she
branches,
does this,
yeah,
the entire reason she does this is to just kind of prove a point, to have kind of a similar conversation that you had with us in the last run, which it goes into, 3rd dimension and 4th dimension and splitting timelines and stuff like that. It's all kind of like a big visual aid.
Yeah, we get sort of like, I wouldn't say it's a retread, but we get like the whole, if you're in 1 dimension, 2 dimension type of deal, right? Like, here's your cube and the plane and all that, and if you have n and n+1 dimensions and that fun stuff.
I noticed in the last run, it seemed very technical, very dry, kind of explaining 3rd dimension and 4th dimension. Whereas here, Sora kind of gets philosophical with it. Like, she says that you can be, or there can be 2 people that have the same origin, and they're physically the same, intellectually the same, but because they've been down different paths, they're not really the same 2 people.
Right. It's like if you have the clone, it's not. It's like, you have like some kind of like consciousness or whatever. It's not like that part divides. Is that like kind of what she's getting at?
Yeah, it's kind of like I saw it as like a nature versus nurture thing, where you can have 2 people that are literally exactly the same physically, genetically, but because they exist in different times and different locations and literally cannot be in the same place together, they're two different people.
It's kind of like the Star Trek teleporter. You ever hear that thought? I was about to say thought dilemma, thought experiment, where it's like it's supposed to copy all your atoms and teleport them somewhere else, but it's like,
did you die or not?
Right, and it's like even if you don't destroy the original copy, all of a sudden there's just like a copy of you that's been teleported somewhere, and is that really you? Even though it's like a perfect copy, it's that.
Yeah, I remember seeing there's like this little animated short that goes through. It's like a philosophical dilemma, where this scientist builds this thing that can teleport you, and it works by sending an exact copy of you to the other teleporter and then destroying the original, because if they didn't, there would be too many copies. And this person is, the scientist is trying to get them to try the teleporter, and they say, okay, well, I'll try it, but only if you leave both the teleporters open, and I want you to do it first. And he says, okay, I've already done it loads of times, I've done this before. So they leave the teleporter open, and then both the copies come out, and, they shake hands, start talking, and then the person says, okay, it's time to destroy the original. And then the argument is like, well, who's the original? Because that means somebody has to die.
Yeah. Was that a movie?
It's this like little animated short. I think it's called To Be. I'll have to look it up.
Now you've sold me on it.
It's really cute.
Now,
and it's
I kind of want to know the end. It's cute.
It is. I mean,
there's it's a pretty common theme in like a lot of science fiction, particularly if it comes down to teleporting. Like there's one short story, I think it's called All You Zombies. It has nothing to do with zombies. I just want to get that on the table now. I'm way out of the zombie stuff at this point. I'm so sick of it. This has nothing to do with it. It's about a guy who like time travels, and he's at a bar, and you slowly but surely learn that everyone there is him from a different point in time at some point, to the point that like he went back and is his own father and his own grandfather. Also, he's the bartender. Also, he's his own mother due to certain circumstances, and he's like his own brother. Like, it's really weird the way it all plays out, and just the ending is just like, well, I know who I am, but who the hell are all you zombies? Is like the idea of just like, how can this happen? How is this plausible? And it's that whole time traveling dilemma of like, is it a stable time loop? Is it not? So yeah, it's like a pretty common idea of what is, it's kind of the question, it's like the dilemma of the human soul almost. Or like, is it in the brain? Right. Is it the thought patterns? Or is it something else? Is there something else contingent on being?
And why doesn't Kid have one?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That short, by the way, was called, it's called John Weldon's 2B, if you want to look it up.
I don't.
Wow.
Weldon... It's spelled like how I... yeah, here it is, John Weldon.
I linked it in chat, too, so you don't even have to do the work, Slowbeef. Go on.
Well, we have a podcast of people that we're telling also.
But just put it
maybe
on,
they
want
to know. Order. Are you in our Discord chat at the time we recorded this? Then you're in luck!
All You Zombies is a science fiction story by Robert A. Heinlein. 1958, though. It's an old one.
Nice.
And there are some issues in wording that were a product of the time. Just as a heads up, there are some things that are not reflective of modern, understanding and being compassionate to others.
For those of you who don't want to go back that far, try out that Edmund Macmillan game where you're the guy in the box. Basically, same thing.
No, actually, I like that time. Yeah, Time for Cuck.
I don't like saying it that way. It's time fuck, but they switch the U and the C for the record. But it does kind of pronounce as time for cuck, which I don't like. But it's Ed McMillan. What do you expect?
It predates, but
You can watch the episode of TNG where there's two Rikers, where they find the Riker that was left in the ship because the teleporter went wrong.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you've got options.
I just whispered, "Oh wow!" Like that's holy.
I'm sorry,
shit.
Spoilers. There's two Rikers.
Two Rikers.
Trek thought of everything.
Two Rikers. Is that? You just hear a bunch of scientists whisper in the back of the room, just like, "Holy shit! Can he do that?"
Anyone who whispers.
Well, the best
Anyone who whispers time for time, oh wow, is definitely a time for cook. That's what everyone's gonna call you on Twitter.
You know what, though? The worst of this is I sound like I have short-term memory loss like the kid, because I started this with, it's like that thought experiment in Star Trek, and then T-Vac's like, yeah, they did that in Star Trek. I'm like, whoa!
Later in Star Trek, yes.
Holy shit!
So all of us are actually one of the survivors at the bottom of Lemieux. It's up to you, the viewer, to decide who is who.
Whoa.
Slowbeef is kid.
No.
The rest of us are a mystery.
Consult your notes. We'll review at the end of the session.
So, let's see, where were we? Sora's doing all this philosophical chat, and she says some stuff along the lines of, looking at it through the fourth dimension, she's like, you and me, we're omnipresent in the world. And in Sora's case, she is sort of literally omnipresent within the confines of Lemieux because she has access to all the sensors, and it's not totally clear that she's actually respecting people's privacy, although she says she is. And she also talks about being able to collapse all the timelines into one person's experience, which, I mean, like... it's really hard for me to read this and not want to talk about Homestuck, but I won't talk about Homestuck, because this is an extremely Homestuck thing of like, oh yeah, we'll just merge, what if we could merge all possible timelines of ourselves together and have all those memories and still all be one person, and maybe that's what happens in the true ending, I don't know. But Sora regards this whole idea as a, quote, legend regarding Lemieux and Lemuria. So maybe, like, Lemurians, because of their third eye, like, were their full selves across all possible timelines, or they had knowledge of themselves across all possible timelines. Something like that. But that's their date.
Yeah.
And what a date.
What a date it is.
Right, so...
And like all non-creepy dates,
Yeah,
she's like, oh, and remember, this was a secret.
Oh, right. Yeah, exactly.
Don't tell anyone that I did this.
And it's like, Sora's losing it, man. Like, that was weird. Like, Sora has not been philosophical up until this point, and then she just fucking goes bananas, and like, there's multiple Soras, and they're laughing, and they're giggling, and talking about branching timelines. Like, what?
And she initiated all this. She's like, I'm going out with that Takeshi dude. He's my guy. And I'm gonna fucking lay this shit on him.
Figure I'll try this human thing out for a little bit, see how it works.
Yeah, totally.
It's wild.
Well, good for her, I say.
So Takeshi then regroups with everybody else for dinner. More chicken sandwiches. Yu talks about how she likes to go out in the woods and survive for a while, which seems different than in the other route where she's just like, oh, I like to go outside and stuff like that. She's like, no, I want to go survive.
There was a different thing that happened between this and the Tsugumi route, if you jumped right there. Takeshi is kind of like, after he just has a moment of just like blaming himself and kind of thinking about it and being really, sad about everything, he sees the lift to the decompression chamber move, he thinks. And then he sees that it's moving. The lift goes down and it stops. He runs down immediately to go down there to see what's going on because he didn't see anyone in there. So he was just really worried. He's like, that just moved on its own. That's not right. Sprints down there, goes up, and there's no one in the room. There's no one in the decompression chamber. And as he goes to go back in the elevator, he hears really small steps, like really tiny, like he's like, oh, those weren't human footsteps, maybe it's the dog. And he's like, that's maybe even too small for the dog, and also the dog Pee-Pee wouldn't have ran off this far, even if it did split from Coco. Pee-Pee wouldn't have gone over here. So just noticed, like, there is some animal sprinting around like a rat or something like that, and that's what he's convinced of. And then he just immediately says like, well, that's dumb, there's no way it was a rat, or or why am I chasing a rat, like that's stupid. And goes back and he sees breadcrumbs all over, I think it's the bed in the infirmary, I want to say, he sees breadcrumbs, or it might be no, it's in the decompression chamber. He sees it.
Oh, okay.
And then just comes back, and then immediately like gets in Yu's face and kids, and it's just like, which one of you is eating bread in the decompression chamber? Like, what? Who was eating bread down there? Like it doesn't matter. And I think they're like, well, it's neither of us, first of all, and second of all, why do you care? And he's like, I think there's rats. It would be bad if rats got into the food, so I don't leave food everywhere. I guess that's how we get rats. That's all. That occurs in place of weird Sora date. You just are like, there shouldn't be a rat here. That's fucked up. That's it. That's what you get instead of Sora date.
Wow.
Good choice.
So the next weird thing that happens is the kid is tired of chicken sandwiches, and Coco arrives with something that the game has called sour cream, which is very clearly not sour cream because it's crab flavored, and everyone puts it on their sandwiches, and it's like, this is some good gift shop sour cream, which like, what is that sauce? It's not sour cream.
Yeah, that's a very clear like kind of localization thing I get, or like in Japan, like, oh yeah, the crab cream that you get everywhere to put on your sandwiches, you know?
Crab cream from a Bunions.
I'm wondering like if they meant like fish sauce or something like that.
Tartar sauce, maybe.
Not crab sour cream though. That's clearly not right.
Crab
terrifying.
Sour cream.
Okay, good to see that Slowbeef and I both are looking this up right now. Both of us are like, that can't be right.
Ever 17. See if there's a Yahoo answer.
That'll help.
8 crowd-pleasing crab appetizers to serve at your holiday party.
Can you stick crab and sour cream? Is that good? Is that edible? Can you do that?
I'm just gonna give you this recipe title here in Discord chat, and I'll read it. Best crab dip ever. Best crab dip ever, hyphen. That's some good cooking. Cookin', mind you. So that's some good cooking.
Damn, that's a dip.
Delicious. But anyway, it would be expired if she got it from the gift shop, so it's something that can be stored at room temperature that's not sour cream. But you know what, fine. That's fine. I don't know if they say anything else interesting. Yu then is like, oh, Tsugumi's recovery is going okay. I was up there earlier. And she's basically like kind of still weirded out. And she's like, in fact, it's better than satisfactory. And maybe she's getting suspicious that Tsugumi has some kind of healing factor or isn't totally human. Maybe she saw something during the surgery. But it's not clear. She's just like really cagey and weird about it. Like doesn't like kind of seems like she doesn't want to tell Takeshi all the details, or she isn't sure if she can tell him.
Yeah, and to be clear, Sora gave an initial forecast of recovery time. It would be, I think she said like 2 months before she can even walk again, and then even more time after that to heal fully.
I left a note here for myself. It was one of the mental notes I made of the fact that PP uses mostly like correct dog onomatopoeias, but they use warf at one point, and it's just a weird onomatopoeia for a dog. Like the rest is like bow wow and woof, but there's just a warf, W-A-R-F in the middle of it, and it really confused the shit out of me when I first read it. I'm like, who the fuck's saying warf? And I'm like, oh, it's what? Dogs don't go warf. That's not an agreed upon dog on them. You can't just make those up.
Sniff, bark, bork.
Oh, heck. Warf. Yeah, like, not probably important to the story. Just thought it was odd.
You know what? It's weird. It's funny. Do you ever like play like a JRPG or something, and you talk to an animal, and it does something like that? Like it'll just go like blaff, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like,
what kind of animal goes blaff?
Oh yeah, are you like, yeah, you punch a delinquent and coins fall out, and they say barf? It doesn't make any sense.
Humans don't go like that.
What's the thing where you pull the string and then it makes the animal noises? The kid's toy, and apparently in every culture it sounds like completely ridiculous things.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
The cow goes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is anybody else just like, whenever you are reminded that the dog exists, you're just like, what is this dog? Like, okay, you don't. I mean, there's people. You don't have to talk about how they like are doing with like eating chicken sandwiches and having to go to the bathroom. But like, what's this dog's deal? What is the dog eating? Where is it going to the bathroom? I don't know. It's weird. I'm not convinced Coco is capable of taking care of those things, but who knows?
I can't wait to find out that it's PP behind the Himmel door, behind the scenes, running everything. So. It's like an iron situation.
We've got a Silent Hill dog ending.
Woof, 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 woof.
Oh, so Sora looks at flowers. Yes, so Sora is looking at some flowers and in the rest area, and the others are like, "Oh, where's Sora? Oh, she must be doing something with Lamy. Don't worry about it." And Takeshi sees her looking at some flowers, and she talks about how great the flowers are, and even though nobody's watered them this whole time, like, and they're at the bottom of the ocean, they're still trying so hard to live, which is something a villain would say. And and then she's like, I admire so much that they're struggling through adversity and trying to hold on to life no matter what. And I think she also said that at the carousel, like, she said that a couple of times throughout these couple of days about, like, humans are trying so hard to live. And then she turns on the emergency sprinklers in order to water the flowers, and everyone freaks out because they don't know why the emergency sprinklers turned on, and Takeshi does not say out loud, Sora turned them on to water the flowers. He's just kind of like, yeah, something, kind of like a prank, I don't know.
Well, and to be clear, a siren goes off when she does this. Like, it's not just like the sprinklers and everyone's like, what the, god damn it. Like, it's like, woo! And then water starts pouring in and stuff. Everyone has a very good reason to be concerned. This is a very concerning thing. And then, it runs over and just, it's weird that happened. Who knows?
Did we get a choice there, by the way? I feel like, or do we not get there yet? It was, sorry, it's like,
and they mention Takeshi goes through and just observes the statues for a minute and the directions they're all pointing.
Yeah, and it's like, they're all pointing in 4 different directions. I don't know if that means anything.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Yeah, there's no actual choice. It's just a lot of observation, weird observation.
Yeah, it's like southeast up and not pointing is the last one. Yeah.
Nope is the last one. Just 2 hands on the chest, eyes closed.
And then that's the end of day 3, because the next thing I have in my notes is day 4.
I think there is one more choice with Sora, if I remember.
Maybe it doesn't matter. That's why I didn't write it down.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe not. It's just, I'm hearing it's like, you have to either hear more or struggle. It's a weird
line.
That's it. Yeah, that's later.
That's day 3, though.
Where, isn't it? Oh, no, it's while you're on the date with her.
That's right,
Sorry, I didn't
It's
write
when
that
she's
down.
explaining all that stuff and you have to pretend to get it or
right, yeah. Or
you have to either listen to her or be like, I assume if you pick struggle, you're like, I can't understand what you are saying.
Right. If you do hear more, then you get a point for Sora. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. I've generally now started picking the one that makes whatever character I'm playing as smarter, because I'm tired of hearing this, like, I don't understand anything about this type dialogue.
Like Takeshi.
Right.
So now he knows about everything.
So now we're into day 4.
So do we want to take a quick break and talk about theories before day 4?
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the whole Sora date thing is like super into, okay, this, like, these characters are clones that have memories implanted in them from people who previously died here, or like for some reason they're replaying the same scenario over and over again to train Sora, which is this AI that can rewrite itself. Like, it's, the whole thing is, everything about it is really suspicious.
On my end, there might be gnomes. There could be gnomes about. How about that? Imps. Or a lot of rats. Some imps, yeah.
One thing that I wrote down from the previous session that I didn't talk about because I hadn't read it all yet is when Tsugumi tells is talking to Sora about what she is. She specifically says, "You are a learning program in which positive responses are saved in that way and reused. The system is designed to make choices based on updated information and boost its efficiency by rewriting itself," which I think it plays into this idea that Sora doesn't really remember what happened in previous iterations if we are in a loop, because her system rewrites itself, but Lemmy probably remembers all the iterations.
Yeah, she kind of mentions when she goes through the whole, third dimension, fourth dimension spiel with Takeshi. I kind of saw it as maybe she already has fourth dimensional vision.
With Sora?
Yeah.
That she knows, all of her own timelines, or all of their timelines?
All of their timelines, possibly.
She could have a sense of it, but, not, because I just find it hard to believe that she is fully aware that she is retreading this with these people over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tricky,
because
right?
She rewrites herself.
Yeah, the only one.
Yeah, and to a certain extent, it might make sense since we do know that in this timeline, at least, still her priority one is to defend the secrets and keep the secrets. That is currently her modus operandi, is protecting me and protecting presumably secrets too. I think that's kind of intrinsic to the nature of I'm protecting Mother Computer, therefore I am also protecting the secrets of whatever this pharmaceutical company is doing.
No, my friend. Maybe in your game, but in my game, Sora likes me.
In my game, I know there's a rat.
She likes me for me.
Yeah, we know that. We find that later. So yeah, the whole thing about something is replaying this over and over again to try to improve its AI with every iteration. It's a lot of evidence for that in day 3.
See, to me, this is kind of it's like she's kind of divulging a little bit of the secret because she's getting sweet on Takeshi. Because otherwise, I don't know why she would bring any of this up.
Also, while they were on the date, Sora guessed a couple of things that Takeshi was going to say before he said them, and he was like,
What?
"Oh, wow, your AI is that good, huh?" Because he's I think so, right? Or is that later?
Don't fucking lie to me. No, I'm just kidding. No.
A couple of things she was and she does it again later too. Where, and it made me or she was like, don't joke like that, or I bet you're gonna say this, but let me keep talking. And it really I was like, oh, maybe she's done this before and she does remember. And that's why
weird.
She falls that's why she sort of makes a move on him. Potentially she could have fallen in love with Takeshi in the previous runs, in the previous iterations as well, and this time she wants to keep moving forward with him.
Or if those aren't legitimate choices, maybe she's making those choices to have a new experience so that she can expand her AI. If you just let's see what love is. I don't know what love is. Try it with Takeshi.
And then it happens. Yeah. So then later in day 4, we get to explain love to a robot. So that we'll talk more about that after day 4.
Would you like to move on to day 4, or is there other stuff we want to talk about? Or I'm okay with day 4.
I guess that's it. The only other thing with cloning, the cloning law of 2010, that also seems to support the fact that you and Dr. Tanaka could be a clone of the woman that she thinks is her mother, who is the actual Yu Tanaka.
Cloning perfectly explains how her father could be dead. I forget now, 51 years, 55 years in the past.
34 or something.
34,
Not
right.
that many years.
Yeah, and how her mother, right, etc. So that, I still don't quite then get why there's I was thinking, you were saying, an iteration thing going on, where these are, clone Takeshis, clone kids, maybe clone Yus, but then Yu throws me because there's 2 different Yus, the Aki and the Haru Yus, And then Tsugumi throws me because I have a theory that it's the same Tsugumi in both routes, and just like, you know, that's where I'm like, well, I don't know if she was cloned, but then why would they like have her retain memory or whatever? You know what I mean? Like that. Yeah, so that's I'm still kind of thrown on that.
Yeah. The other thing I think is that you know, in the previous route we had Mayo sort of with Coco projected on her is kind of the impression that you get, you know, where which I think is really interesting in this new idea where you could have clones with the same memories or the same intelligence, but they maybe wouldn't necessarily have to be exactly the same people because of the RSD technology that could sort of project the correct person on top of that person, like we see with the confusion between Coco and Mayo in the other one. So it was a little more toward like, oh, well, maybe these don't have to necessarily be the exact same people because of the RSD projection.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. And also just the idea of like the impacts of like, are we experiencing just clones going through the same situation, or is it a combination of clones interacting with people stuck in some sort of time loop to try to influence the time loop to move on?
Yeah.
That's a good point too.
Anyway.
So, is that it?
Anyway,
Day 4?
Let's go back to trying to fuck the hologram.
Okay, day 4. Takeshi can't sleep, so he walks around and he ends up at the Himmel door. And man, Takeshi keeps walking up to the Himmel door and then doing nothing. So great, cool. And he's like, well, back at this dumb door again. And Sora appears to him and says that Tsugumi is moving in her sleep, and he's the only one who is awake right now. So he's like, oh, well, I have to stop her from moving because she could re-break her leg if she's moving, but also she shouldn't be moving. She should be unconscious and still, like, not healed yet. And so Takeshi runs up there, and I don't remember exactly how he goes up there. Well, he runs up there with Sora, and he talks to Tsugumi, and there's a choice.
There is a choice, which I believe... Oh, that's right. You can, like, apologize or say nothing, I think.
Yeah. I had him apologize because, like, that seemed like what he would do. Although I'm sure that gets you a Tsugumi point.
Apologizing does get you a Tsugumi point.
But if we're locked in, I guess it doesn't matter. It's just, like, how you feel in your heart, whether Takeshi's a good boy or not.
Maybe we get varying levels of endings. Like, maybe we get... One of them is the Sora ending with, like, good Tsugumi, and the other one is Sora ending with evil Tsugumi.
Do you want me to tell you what happens like that, or do you want to... I guess we'll finish next game. We can figure out. Yeah,
my assumption
don't worry about it.
was just that, like, positive Sora points here were just going to be, you know, good for the good Sora ending. So what I've basically been trying to do is just like, ignore the other girls, and then just anything that could make you more positive to Sora, just do that. So like I would say, I didn't say anything here just to kind of ignore Tsugumi.
It seems like Sora is the easy path, honestly, as far as like...
Sora, everything, all the choices are intuitive. Yeah. It's like, be nice to her, act smart, you know what I mean? Tsugumi has like... Yeah.
Looking at the diagram, a lot of the choices on this path are either get a point or nothing. It's very much less common to have to choose between the two of them. So, like, I think in this one, if you apologize, you get a point towards Tsugumi, but if you don't say anything, you get nothing.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
anyway, whether he apologizes or not, he talks to Tsugumi, and Tsugumi is like, why did you save me? I wanted to die. Which is perhaps more evidence that she is not losing her memories with each iteration of this thing that's happening. And that's real heavy. And so she's mad.
The way she said it, too, it's like, I could have finally died.
Or that she's the
like
Highlander, sad of walking this earth. Or like the game Lost Odyssey, which is a game about immortals with depression. By the way, if you ever want to hear stories about immortals with depression, that's it. It's really good. Turns out, living forever would suck a lot. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it would.
So Takeshi leaves then, because she's like, get out of here, I don't want to talk to you, she's being mad. He leaves, and Sora comes up and talks to him, and he doesn't say, like, oh, Tsugumi said she wanted to die. He's just like, you know, I was talking to her, and she's grumpy or something. And Sora, I've noted that Sora says she is so happy that Tsugumi was saved, which is also suspicious.
Oh, so wait, did you guys just have, like, you apologize and she just tells you to leave? He doesn't go on some big spiel?
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
I'm looking at...
No, I was
Sorry,
going to say, when I said nothing, he went on a whole thing of, she responds, he yells at her, wait, you saved Coco, you made an effort, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, for me, he goes into, like, a really big tirade of, oh, I didn't do it for Coco, I wanted to die. And he's just like, that's stupid, don't say that ever again, and starts going on a real deep thing, including saying, when you die, it's game over, which made me, like, cringe a lot. I was like, man,
Wow.
We didn't get that.
come on, man.
No, we didn't get that.
Yeah, and then he starts talking about, like, life's a miracle, you need to live through it, and she's just talking about how, like, oh, life's garbage, everything's garbage, what humans need to do is gross, like, everything is based on vices, like, you need to kill to eat and live, and you need fucking to propagate, and it's gross, it's garbage, life sucks, life is unnatural, which is weird, it's like, it's an accident in a gross world, or something like that, and...
Wow.
Takeshi tells her to fuck off, basically. She's just like, fuck off with that shit. And she's like, what's wrong? What did I say that's not true? And, just goes on like, oh, it's all vices. We kill to live, blah, blah, blah. We kill each other. It's stupid. Everything's obscenity and sins and stuff. And he's just like, that's why you want to die? Yeah. And then he just starts laughing and then goes on another thing, basically saying, like, living's not a sin. So don't be stupid. Like, does a tiger feel guilt when it eats a bird or something? Do you think it's fucked up for a bird to eat from a tree? Like, stuff like that. And he's like, I think it's sacred. I think everything is I think it's sacred when people come together to create new life. And I was just like, nice, working that in. But managed to sneak in a little, I think fucking's great. That's the boy. And he's just like, and loving each other is super important, and loving yourself is super important. Don't you get that? And then she just basically is like, she just kind of turns and she's like, you don't get it, and then just goes back to bed.
Wow.
And then I think says, I get it, I understand perfectly, you're a huge hypocrite. So...
Wait, but you're on the Tsugumi path, right?
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah, the Tsugumi path's great. She tells you to fuck off a whole bunch. And it's a path, all right. So, yeah,
it's
that's
impossible to know if you are on the Tsugumi path if you do not have a guide. That's kind of the trick.
Yeah. She's really not into her own path, I think.
This seems way more realistic, by the way.
So on the Sora route, maybe not on the Tsugumi route, but Sora and Takeshi go ride on the dolphins again on the merry-go-round? Or does this happen on the other route?
I got no dolphins.
No,
I just got depression.
0 dolphins?
I got depression. I didn't get dolphins.
Okay, we got Dolphins Part 2. And Sora reiterates how the desire to live has affected her in a really creepy way where it's like, oh man, isn't it so great that you guys want to live so bad? Like, okay.
Your struggle amuses me greatly.
We get a choice, and I hope all of us Sora romancers did the same thing, where she asks Takeshi, oh, well, do you have a girl waiting for you back home? What did y'all say?
Oh, no, I said yes. No, of course I said...
You said yes? I said no! What Takeshi has never been... Takeshi's not in a relationship.
Of course I said
He's
no.
Takeshi.
Don't lie.
I said no, yes.
I wonder what happens if you say yes, but that's impossible because he's Takeshi. It probably says, oh, he says yes, but he's lying.
Yeah. It probably definitely just loops around because that's what these things do every time.
Yeah. So no way Takeshi has a girlfriend, but he does say that he has previously had a girlfriend. in a kind of surprisingly mature piece of dialogue where he's like, I don't know if we were in love or not, but, you know, it was a thing, and now it's over, and whatever. And,
yeah, he was like, well, you know, we broke it off. It was a clean break. We weren't, like, mad at each other or anything. We just weren't getting along.
So then Sora asks the best question, which is, so you've loved someone, so will you explain love to me? Because I don't know if you guys knew this, but just checking my watch here, it's an anime, and now we're going to attempt to explain love to the robot. That is a choice. You can choose not to.
The best is
Or be like, I don't know how to explain it.
She literally asked like 3 or 4 times, "What is love?" And all I could hear was like that song from the SNL skit.
Baby, don't hurt me.
Constantly, she says it like 4 times.
I know. Sora rickrolled all of us. It's a shame. So we attempt to explain love to Sora. It's not that bad. And then also this is really when I noticed that Sora seems to be able to guess his responses before he makes them, because he starts out and he's like, oh, I'll explain it, and he tries to explain it as a tennis joke, like love to mean nothing, 0 score, and she's like, oh, don't make a tennis joke, you're already gonna make a tennis joke, and he basically is like, this kind of lines up with how weirdly philosophical he is in the previous Tsugumi situation, because he's like, well, birds are created to sing, but if you ask a bird why does it sing, it's why was it created, it probably wouldn't say to sing. And in the same way, humans were created to love. And Sora's like, oh, I see, so humans were created to love, but we don't always know that that's why. Humans don't always know that that's why they were created. And Sora kind of takes this off into a tangent and is like, well, then why was I created? What's my purpose? And it's they talk, there's a lot more words there, but that's the conclusion that they draw about love.
Aww.
It's kind of a cute thing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad because Sora is trying to figure out her own purpose, which does make it seem like she doesn't remember the timeline, but I don't know.
I think at some point Tsugumi punches you in the face. For the record.
Yeah, I mean that happens in our timeline, in ours too, but later.
Yeah, later, right?
Okay.
And
might be multiple punches to the face.
There's a bunch
on the Tsugumi love route.
There's one other thing that she was like, guessed what he was gonna say before he said it, and he was like, "Oh, your algorithm's pretty great, huh?" And
yeah, that's what I like. They keep trying to throw Sora curveballs to try and see if they can get like a beep boop computer response out of her, and she never falls for it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find where in the text where she guesses something, but alright, that's okay.
It's not guessing, but it's like I don't know, with the tennis thing, she says like, "Oh, you're gonna make a tennis joke," and he's like, "Yes, I am." And so it was just a weird thing that made me wonder if she had been through this exact scenario before and remembered it, or like learned from last time and like knew what jokes he was gonna make.
It could just be that she's kind of understanding how people are, and she's kind of understands that Takeshi is that kind of person that would just make a lame joke.
Yeah, she is understanding jokes, particularly bad ones. So let's see. So that's the second dolphin carousel date, and there's like a cute like picture of Sora on the dolphin with lighting and stuff like that too. Like don't think, folks at home, that we're not getting lots of coquettish pictures of Sora, because that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Some tropes are inescapable.
And when she subdivided at one point too with the tag game, like a lot, they were like hard to see. Oh, but I squinted. No, but like they were all kind of like cutesy, you know, like hey.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, her skirt's getting a lot higher now.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Me, your hologram girlfriend.
Right.
I get sad girl in a bed.
You did this to yourself, Tuesday.
No.
This is
no regrets. No regrets.
But you encouraged everyone else to go fuck the hologram, and then you're the one who had the doubts.
I didn't have doubts. I knew what I was doing.
I'm just saying, threesome with Sora, it's like pretty fucking easy. There's not much convincing going. Anyway,
yeah, she's got the whole Dr. Manhattan situation going.
Yeah. Multitasking. It's right in the fucking CPU. There's books on it. It works. Anyway,
why would you be upset by the fact that this is my third clone doing this?
Is context switch?
So Takeshi can't sleep again. And so he sleeps, because that all happened, I guess, at night, and so he sleeps late and does not arrive in time to make breakfast sandwiches for everyone early in the morning. So in his wake, Kid, Coco, and Yu had attempted to make their own sandwiches, and they appear to be tuna sandwiches, so that makes me wonder if they, like, got that big frozen tuna and cut it up. And they made, like, weird, ugly sandwiches, but they seem to be fine. And Takeshi's been saying stuff over the past couple of these past days about, like, he's kind of, like, low-key worried about how his body is doing. Like, every once in a while he says something about that. And I know in Kids Route, you talked about how, like, the bad ending is that everybody gets sick and dies. So I guess that's probably related.
That's kind of how I'm reading it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to put out there, I would not eat anything that Coco prepared, because she seems like the kind of person that would just grab shit off the floor and put it in a sandwich.
And she basically says that's what she did, too.
She's not washing her hands after pee-pee either.
Coco says that Tsugumi ate a bunch of sandos, which is a relief to Takeshi, because if she's eating, that means she wants to live. She doesn't want to just let herself die.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And her thing is she always, like, wolfs her food down. Just, like, goes really at it.
And she doesn't care how it tastes. Weird. Maybe she's a robot.
So maybe she's beyond. She's evolved beyond such carnal things as good taste. I don't know.
For me, he, like, makes a statement about, he just talks about how it's a huge contradiction that she was talking about how evil eating food is, but then just goes hog on 3 sandwiches. And he's just like, man, I'm not the hypocrite here.
Takeshi in the moral high ground once again.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, eat those sandwiches. That's right. Yeah, I knew you would. Chump. In all fairness, if you set yourself up for, like, eating food making you look bad, you kind of fucked up. And that's what Tsugumi did. Is she set up eating food as a thing that makes her look like an ass. So, like,
well, give Soylent another couple years, maybe people can choke it down without vomiting.
Or you could just drink Ensure.
Yeah.
I mean... sorry, that's too political. Takeshi, then the crowd asks him, you and Kid and Coco are like, where were you last night? Oh, because Kid was like, oh, I heard you running away. What happened last night? So then you have the option of saying, oh, I went to see Tsugumi, I went to see Sora, or, like, nothing, I guess.
Right, you can just be like, or I went to the bathroom as the choice, right? Or
yeah, because he's like, why were you running? So
yeah, this is kind of another gimme in that whoever you say you were with, you get a point for, unless you say you went to the bathroom, in which case you get no points, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a Takeshi point?
Nope, you don't get shit in the bathroom.
You
get a Mayo point.
You should get shit for saying you.
There you go, alright. Let's see here. So
then the amazing and beautiful vindication of Tai Tuesday happens when you starts lecturing about the myth of Pygmalion.
Yes. How many episodes was it ago that I called this? Like 2?
At least
something
2,
like that. Yes.
I think so, yeah.
So I don't know if this was ever recorded, but I told everyone that they needed to read Pygmalion before we started this route.
When you convinced us to fuck the robot, you were like, oh, fuck the robot. Also, everyone go read the myth of Pygmalion.
It's important research for fucking a robot.
You're not wrong.
Sure enough, day 4, here it is. Them explaining Pygmalion because you're gonna fuck a robot.
Well, no, it happens on Tsugumi's route, too.
It does. Yeah, they go through here, too. Yeah.
They want you to regret not fucking the hologram.
It's not that bad. I mean, there's a myth about it.
The Greeks. Yeah, right.
So, the myth of Pygmalion is a guy who... a man what carved a statue so pretty he want to fuck it. And, and the goddess Aphrodite was like, yeah... Oh, sure, and made her into a real woman who he then married and had children with, and they were, and it's somehow, like, noble and great that this guy fell in love with an object, and then the object became a living woman.
And it's like really sleazy Pinocchio, then.
And the thing is, like, they talk about, too, like, he carves it, and he's, like, carving all of it, and he carves just this one that's so, so beautiful and so perfect. And everyone talks about like, this guy's a great artist. He should have a wife already. What the fuck? And he like stops eating and he gets depressed. He has all sorts of mental issues because if he can't be with his statue in real life, why bother? Like that kind of thing.
He starts bringing the statue food, starts talking to it, starts sleeping with it at night.
Well, like the initial thing is he puts clothes on her. Because he's, like, embarrassed to be around her when she's naked. He's like, that's weird, I need to give you clothes. And then, starts bringing her food and everything. So it's, like, very much an actually very uncomfortable situation. But Aphrodite is just like, love, what are you gonna do? And it's just like, sure, just go kiss your statue. It's a lady.
And even, like, I mean, within this game, it is presented as, like, a very noble love. And I was like, okay. So I looked it up, and even in, like, if you look it up online, the myth of Pygmalion, it is still presented as, like, a very noble kind of love, which is really upsetting, because it's, like, falling in love with, like, your anime waifu or something. Like, it's like, I drew a picture of a woman, she was so beautiful, like, I played this visual novel and I fell in love with Tsugumi and she was so great, if only she was real. And then, like,
no, the updated
real.
The updated version, though, is the kid with the virtual reality anime. When she becomes, like, a real woman, he would be like, oh, no, this is worse now. Let's go back. This myth sucks in the modern era.
Anime turned 3D. God damn it.
I don't fucking believe it. Now she's going to start bossing me around. All right, whatever.
But yeah, so after she explains all of it, I think first she talks about it as, like, an effect. Like, going off.
Yeah, the
and
Pygmalion effect.
Yeah.
Right.
And saying, well, it's kind of like placebo, but it's just the whole concept is something, this, that, the other, which I think is, like, all wrong. I'm pretty sure is...
Yeah, when I actually looked it up, it's the, it's also called, like, the Rosenberg effect, or whatever the guy's name, Rosenthal effect. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I know what that is. Because having done human subjects research, and it's this idea that an experimenter can get really into the experiment that they're doing, and their own desire to see the results be successful can influence how they execute the study and skew the results to make them more successful than they would have been if, like, I guess they didn't care as much. I mean, experimenter bias is definitely, like, a thing, and it's important, and you have to be really careful and have a bunch of other people sort of okay this and separate yourself very much from what's going on. I don't know how much that is, like, really even still a thing that people worry about.
Mm-hmm. And it is just, like, a general thing, too, of just, if you expect more, you'll get better results. Like, if you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go kick ass, then you're more likely to go kick ass than if, I think the corollary, like, on there's one for the other side of the effect, too, like, the other side of the coin of just, well, I think this is gonna suck, this isn't gonna work at all, and then you do poorly, which is kind of a self-explanatory thing, but at the same time, it's still really hotly contested, because that's so many variables to control.
Do they call that self-fulfilling prophecy?
Like, to a certain extent, yeah, it's kind of that idea, but just related to performance and expectations of, like, how well you think you will do. And it seems like a thing that's very common-sensy, but if you've studied anything about human psychology and actual effects in performance, common sense very often is super wrong. And there's no real good way to study this, because there's so many variables to control. It's like, there's a lot of stuff with human psyche studies that are just impossible to do, or not impossible, but hard, very difficult. And I think this is one of them that people are just kind of like, maybe, after all this time.
Yeah, isn't that like the thing where once a person knows that they're being studied, that just kind of skews the results completely?
Yes,
the observer.
For sure, and that's real. That's the thing that I've had to
real.
worry about.
That is a thing that came up in, I believe the first time it was, like, notable, at least that I know of, because mechanical engineering and all that, is when you're studying worker efficiency. The initial study was something along the lines of just seeing if putting in more lights would, like, make people work faster, or you get better results, get better quality. Yeah, so, like, if I turn on the lights brighter, will people work better? And then they studied it, and the answer was yes. And then they're like, okay, well, we do need to study if the lights are turned down, will they work less? And the answer was, no, they still work better. And then they tried to figure it out, and it just came out that, like, oh, it's just if they know they're being seen, if they know we're researching them, they're all gonna work harder. And again, that's something that, like, anyone in management knows. It's just a really common thing.
Right.
Another, like, that sort of idea that your attitude shapes your performance. There's a lot of stuff. There's stuff study related to bias in education. And basically, like, if you tell children before they take the one study I read was if you tell girls before they're about to take a math test, the girls are bad at math, then they will do worse on the math test than if you don't say anything. So there's that actual effect, but I don't know about the opposite. That's self-efficacy, which is difficult to measure because it's self-report, and you can't always trust self-report.
Yeah.
So then we have a choice, where Takeshi gets to respond to the story of Pygmalion, and I chose Happily Ever After because I don't know why Takeshi would want to just, like, rain all over these children in their parade.
That's what I did.
You get three choices where it's like, oh yeah, they lived happily ever after. Yeah, that's the good ending. Or you could, like, question you about it, or you could just be like, yeah, that happened.
You can,
because that's what I did.
Happened, Takeshi.
Is I decided to do the whole, like, devil's advocate thing, because it pretty clearly, like, I mean, fuck, I called it before we started this route of that means I want to fuck the robot, and so I'm going to not do that. So I was just like, okay, I object.
You fucking fool!
What, really?
Yeah, you're right in that if you say they live happily ever after, you get a Sora point, but if you just watch silently, you get the Tsugumi point. Voicing disagreement gets you nothing.
Dang. Yeah, I just went and he just goes. And the thing is, it is nice because Takeshi is shockingly probably the best about this. He even said, he's just like, that's really fucked up. Like, he had an obsession, he stopped working, he stayed inside talking to a statue, thinking, oh, only if my statue was a real woman. And he's just like, it's really depressing. Like, I don't see anything happy about it just because he happened to, at the end, like, you know, I don't think he says Deus Ex Machina, but, you know, the ending is just Deus Ex Machina. Everything's
Barry
great.
waved
like,
a magic wand.
Yeah, he's like, that's bullshit, because everything leading up to that is depressing and sad and a man dying to his own obsession. So I don't buy the ending being happy when everything leading up to that point is very sad.
I'm just gonna take a stab and say he didn't say it anywhere near that eloquently.
I can't help it.
All right. Yeah. So that's that choice. That's your thing, Pygmalion.
Oh, so then if you say that you went to see Sora last night, then as they leave the area and they're going up the stairs, you is like, you didn't go to see Sora, you went to see Tsugumi. And then he's like, yeah, why did you give me the third degree about it then? And she was like, I wanted, I guess she was like, I wanted to see if you would lie or something like that. She was trying to get him to admit it or something, but you is like, oh, I know that you went to the infirmary to see Tsugumi and you didn't just talk to Sora.
Right. Let's see here.
So they go, then they go to then the whole group goes to see Tsugumi in the infirmary, but she's gone. I think the whole group goes.
What?
Not sure if it's the whole group. I can't quite.
Yeah,
remember.
it's the whole group.
Yeah.
It is,
Okay.
yeah.
Everybody.
Yep.
But yeah, they get in there and she's not in her bed. You know, Ivy's been ripped out. The computer equipment's been smashed with the cast that was on her leg. So they're wondering what the hell's going on. There's no way she should even be able to walk at this point. They're thinking maybe somebody came in and took her.
Oh,
Right.
And it has a little, like, kind of a little panic attack because she was expecting Lemi to alert her if anything changed with Tsugumi. So she was expecting some kind of alarm or something to go off and nothing happened. So she kind of has, like, a little moment about that where she's really scared.
And she does get to dismiss Kid, who goes, maybe she was spirited away. Oh, please. Sorry.
Kid's
up,
still not worth any of our time.
No.
I forget. Does Kid actually say "spirited away"?
Yeah.
I believe he does, yeah.
A little illusion there, yeah.
Let's see here. And then, yeah, Sora comes and then gives some bullshit about electromagnetic interference, I think.
Well, yeah, so she's like, I don't know what's going on. Am I displaying properly? Because there's all this electromagnetic interference. And so, what does that mean? Why is there suddenly a lot more electromagnetic interference? Is that Tsugumi? Is the interference Tsugumi? We don't know.
Yeah,
Is
and
it
she
'cause
starts.
she smashed the computer?
I'm
Something
thinking
like
it
that.
might be because she smashed the computer and now all the radiation is just going all over the place.
She smashed this extremely powerful radioactive computer.
Just turned the MRI machine inside out, so now all the radio waves are going all over the place.
Yeah, and apparently she's like talking to next to everybody. Like she's not looking at the right spot. She's just kind of.
And she also doesn't
the wall.
display for Kid, because you and Takeshi talk to her, and she's like, oh, she's she took the egg elevator to the 3rd level, and Kid's like, who are you guys talking to? And it's like, oh, so she didn't realize Kid was there, and so didn't display for him, but displayed for the others. So then Takeshi goes after Tsugumi, and he takes the elevator to that same area where the generator is. And he stops and looks in the cosmic whale room and is like, I don't have time for this shit, and leaves. So once again, our pal the cosmic whale serving no purpose.
Oh, bother.
Thanks for noticing me.
I'll just be here, the cosmic whale.
Yeah, I think I don't know if it was just for both routes, but he specifically, he just says, it was really weird. I don't get it. Does anyone know why this is here? Like, is that in a pamphlet or something? This shit makes no sense. Fuck this. And just like leaves.
My ballroom is a whale room. My
And I'm pretty
bedroom
sure
is a
the
whale
only reason
room.
they do this
my
is
God.
because later they still have to report that this place is going to flood at some point. And so they need to establish that this exists. So if you're just on this route, it doesn't make no sense whatsoever.
Still no explanation of why there is a cosmic whale room. Only that there is one.
Right.
So I don't know if anything is different about this between the paths, but Takeshi he looks in all the rooms and he finds Tsugumi in the room with all the pipes next to the generator. And at this point, so I got really confused because I think it says like there were like nuts on the floor and she knocked them into the water, and I thought that it was talking about like metal, like as in nuts
that's
and
what I
bolts.
thought too.
But later it seems that they are in fact like nuts, like peanuts.
Nuts that you can eat. I think that might have been intentional because when we find her, she's got kind of her back to us and she's kind of tinkering with something. So at that point I'm thinking maybe sabotage or like repair of something that she knows is going to go wrong. But then later she's back in her bed and we find the nuts, and it's peanuts or nuts that you can eat.
And he is like, you know, what are you doing? And she won't tell him. And then she like tries to briskly walk past him, but appears to be like the wrong leg is the leg that's hurt.
Yeah, it's so
Which
weird.
implies that she's faking. She's healed.
Yeah,
and then we
definitely
lunge
going wrong
in.
here.
We lunge in to check the wound. Definitely to check the wound and lift her skirt
Yeah.
up, and she punches us in the head again. Hell.
Innumerable punches to Takeshi.
Quite a few punches.
Or I guess slaps that swell his whole face up and make his teeth hurt. So like,
Yeah, holy crap.
yeah. Girl's got some fucking guns, apparently.
She's a superhuman for sure with that healing and punching him casually in the face and causing that much, like casually slapping him and like causing that much pain and swelling. And so at least so on the Sora path, then he goes back to the infirmary to get an ice pack on his face, which is swelling, and talks to Sora. And she says, well, I haven't seen a case like hers before, referring to Tsugumi. So maybe trying to talk about this healing factor or something like that, but not giving that much information. And then they all decide that they should give Tsugumi some space. I think it seems like Sora comes out of nowhere and is like, oh, maybe we should give her some space, and is really insistent on it, which makes me think that she has been talking to Tsugumi privately multiple times at this point. But we don't know. Is that what happens in the Tsugumi route, or is there extra stuff that happens?
Let's see here. Lister Skirt gets punched. I think
Or is that
that's...
it?
I'll tell you one
I think
thing.
the next thing is like you talk to Sora for a little bit, and then you end up at the sandwich stand again.
Yeah, that seems right. It's like 6624, right? And
So in this so after after he talks to Sora and then and everyone decides to give Tsugumi some space. Next, we had a scene where the gang hangs out in the conference room and gives pretend speeches.
he gives what?
Pretend speeches, like Yu was doing before, where she was kind of like giving a lecture. Takeshi's like, I'm gonna give a lecture now.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
That's right.
And he gives a lecture about love
To Sora, yeah.
to Sora.
That's right, and she's calling him Professor Takeshi.
Yeah,
It's just so role playing. It's so fucking weird.
it's really strange. It just comes out of nowhere, really. And but he asked her how old she is, and she's like, oh, I'm 24. Well, I'm 6, but I'm 24. I'm always going to be 24.
Right.
And he's like, 24? Like, you need to act way less formal. You're 24 years old. And he kind of goes into like this weird thing of like women who are 24 is like when you make the switch where you're not looking for a boyfriend, you're looking for a husband, and like talks about all this stuff, and it's like, my dude, Takeshi. But it basically ends up with him trying to teach Sora how to speak less formally.
Right. And it's kind of like a comedic effect thing later, because she meets up with Coco, and she's like, hey, use guys, like, you know,
Yeah,
you find me a dude I could like suck his hog. I don't know, she said that. She didn't say that. Sorry, but like,
she is like, I think the way she's supposed to be talking is more like, oh my god, I went to the club the other night and this thing was happening, and oh my god, you won't believe, girl. And and Coco starts crying.
yeah, if she says something, you're like, my eldest sons, I gotta find a better guy than that. But you know, it's more Valley Girl. Yep. And yeah, Coco just starts crying, and then
okay, before we move on, I gotta touch on one point here, though. Okay, so in addition to the Pygmalion myth, is the Pygmalion play, the George Bernard Shaw play, that kind of taps into this. And the whole point of it, and the same thing with My Fair Lady, the movie, is teaching someone from a lower class, like basically it's like this rich dude who finds this flower girl from like the streets and teaches her to speak in a far more advanced way, like a higher class. And so it's literally the opposite that's going on now. He's teaching this person who's like an open receptacle to being taught what this society is, and he's bringing her down the level. It's got to be a straight up illusion.
Yeah.
wow. Good
everybody
catch.
gets freaked out by Sora trying to talk like a normal 24-year-old.
Yeah,
who
but
is
they
not
also
trapped in a
they immediately
amusement
come
park.
to the conclusion that this is Takeshi's doing. He's the one that taught the computer gutter language.
Yeah. So it's
Gutter
just like,
talk.
okay, I'll go back to my old way of talking.
Who taught my parrot to say "fuck you"?
So that was pretty good. That was a pretty good thing. It was a little, it was real corny, but it was kind of sweet too.
As far as like the slice of life fluff that we've seen before, I kind of like that one.
I wasn't on board until Coco started crying, and then I was like, yes, okay, good. That's the correct reaction.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The next thing in my notes after this happens is just Takeshi eats a secret hot dog for dinner.
What do you call it? I will tell you if there's any, I don't know like what else there's, but both routes end kind of a similar way on day 4, which is we have a scene with Tsugumi and we have a scene with Sora that everything goes really nicely, I think, on both routes, and then ends in horror. I don't know if everyone knows what I'm referring to there.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
I mean, it
It's
ends
like-
with him having a nightmare.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think
like so I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Tsugumi, she reveals she has another life form on board Lemieux, or
Yeah,
Oh,
Tsugumi
yeah.
disappears again. Takeshi goes to bring her a sandwich, and she disappears again.
Yeah.
And he finds like a little some nuts in a bag, and like some kind of like container with cotton in it. So she had been taking care of some kind of small animal as a pet.
yeah.
And it's a hamster,
Yep.
and the hamster it seems like, oh, so that's the life form fluctuation, is that there's a hamster.
It still doesn't, but no, it doesn't add up. All right, whatever. But yeah, okay.
No, my theories.
But they're able to track it.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. You're right. And it's like, it's in a situation where, like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like in a little alcovey kind of thing, meaning you'd have to swim underwater to this air pocket that it's at, right? To get to it.
Yeah.
And,
And it's at 1 atmosphere of pressure, and you don't have to go outside Lemieux. You just have to swim through 153 feet long water at 1 atmosphere of pressure.
which, by the way, is a multiple of 17. Now, if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm going to need Ty to help me confirm this. If you're on Tsugumi's route, Takeshi can offer to make this swim to
Yeah.
save the hamster.
Yeah,
Right.
I did it, yeah.
My Takeshi did that too.
Oh,
He was
okay.
like, I'll go.
Our Takeshi
You
did
don't
it,
even go.
but did we even, was there even a choice in that, or did we just go?
Well, he went and he kept saying like, I'm gonna like do the swim, and then she punches him and goes on the swim instead.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Oh, we actually do it on the Tsugumi pad. We
Yeah.
actually
Oh,
go
he
do the
actually
dive.
swims?
Yeah, and he just tells her,
Oh
he's
my
like,
God.
well, what? He's like, one of us needs to operate the computer so we can see where this thing is, but yeah, I'll take care of it. And he just like kind of pushes her away. He's like, here, I got a hook, I got a rope, whatever, just hook me to this, I'll pull myself back, it'll be fine. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah, he
And
says
she's-
all that stuff, but then she punches him and goes instead.
Right.
Yeah,
on the
no,
Sora route.
she kind of like smiles a little bit and is a little, coy, but like happy that we go for it, and then does it.
Wow. And when he gets punched, he says, oh, this reminds me of when I got punched by that Snooki. So, confirmed.
And then he pukes up a hot dog.
But when, oh, that's true. And we learn the hamster's name, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to let
Charmy.
Chami, because he's
Charming.
charming. So
So what? So Takeshi just says like, oh, I swam over there, no problem. Like what?
no, there's, well, I guess Ty, you could tell us, but I think there's a little more, right? Where like he's in the other side, and she's gonna kind of sort of guide him through where it is.
And while he's swimming, he just talks about like he basically almost drowns, and he goes in there and he's like, cool. He's like, I'll use my PDA light, it'll be fine. And then he realizes, oh, except this water is far down in the ocean water, so it's freezing. It is cold as shit. So he basically starts cramping. He tries to use his PDA backlight, and that dies. And so he just kind of goes for it. And he's even thinking, he's like, I'm probably gonna die here, huh? Like, yeah, I may have fucked this up. Saying like every cell in his body is eroding, which is kind of a thing later. And basically just like right at the last second, sees the ladder, pulls himself up, and puts the rope on a hook and just bursts in there. And then he throws up a hot dog.
So it's good that we have the consistency between the timelines.
He will always puke
Yeah,
up
he
the
just
hot
throws
dog.
up a hot dog for no reason on the Sora path. I'm like, oh, dude, are you okay? Did I fuck up?
He might have just got punched so hard that he just puked a hot dog. Yeah. It's like watching a kid getting hit in the nuts and they just throw up. It's just like that.
Oh god, I just want to see that one time on video.
But yeah, and he just like goes around and he kind of realizes the ridiculousness of the situation when he's on the other side, and he's just like, "Hey, hamster, where you at?" And they talk to each other, and he works it out.
So then I was like, why even do that? Because like it's not like you can carry it back with you. Like you have to convince it to go back the way it came.
Well, basically what it is he just like kind of grabs it, puts it in a big plastic bag, and then just like blows a bunch of air into it, puts it in his pants, and is like, "Let's roll," and then just lets himself back across.
Wait,
that should work.
Then, if you were gonna do this in real life, then you could get like a big bin and like put it over your head and sink yourself down in there, and you would have at least a little bit of air before you had to do anything.
There's a lot wrong. Plus, if Takeshi being Takeshi, I think just exhaled a bunch of carbon dioxide into a plastic bag. Suffocate the fucking hamster after all this.
And that hamster's going to start freaking out. It's going to gnaw through that bag in a second. It's going
It's
to
the
be one drowned
shittiest hamster diving bell ever.
It's the shittiest hamster rescue ever.
But yeah, I don't know if it is on your end as well, but she tells us the name is Chami, and she's like, "Okay, don't laugh." And then so we immediately start laughing about it. And kind of like making fun of what baby talk from Tsugumi would sound like, and then she gets all flustered at that, and
she just says she's just embarrassed, and that's it. He doesn't really taunt her.
We learn it, but it was more like a secret thing that she just kind of let slip out, and she doesn't make a comment on it or anything.
Yeah, for this, he's like, "Well, what is the hamster's name? I don't want to keep calling him Jungarian or whatever." And she's like, "Okay, but you can't laugh." Tells him the name, and then he starts kind of being a little bit of a goof about it, and then she just is petting her hamster and just cracks a real smile for the first time, and he's quite excited for this.
She's just
wow. Yeah, Tsugumi on the Sora path is much more like closed off and like, okay, I got my baby, now go away.
Yeah.
I do want to flag up, we did have that rat trap in the previous playthrough, so I think that this hamster admit his bad end. His bad end in the kid run.
No.
Tell me why.
I think there's still hope.
Nah, we don't know specifically what happened. I think Sora had a more interesting thing here, because we have Sora date part 3 basically, where
yeah, we do.
They're in
this is the funny one.
Yep.
They're in the souvenir shop, and the first thing I think, like, he's still trying to teach her how to look like a normal human 24-year-old, so he's like, "Let's give you some makeup," and he gets like a Sharpie or a dry erase marker.
So
or a
he's
pen
on one side of the glass, like the display, because it's a shop, and she's on the other side of the glass, really close, so that he can draw on her face, kind of.
Right. I'm gonna show here, Ty. I'll show you the end result of it.
Oh, this is a poor choice. It's a poor choice.
And for the people at home, of course, he gives her a lot of is that eyeshadow?
Eyeshadow and blush and lipstick.
But like a bunch of it, you know.
He has a marker. Yeah. Like, what is he supposed to do?
Oh, your makeup shotgun was set on whore.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, there's no other way it could be. And but one thing, also there's a little choice that you have, because both of them are like, "Oh, I want to talk to you about something important." Mm-hmm. And if you say it at the same time, then they're like, precious. "I want to talk more about the lecture."
Yeah, exactly. You're right. That's your Sora point.
That one was kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And so he tries to give her makeup through using the glass, and he does a really bad job. In my notes, it just says, "Well, he tried."
To his credit, he realizes and will flat out say that this looks like a kid drew it. I need to wipe this off. I need to start over.
He wipes it off and he's like, no, Sora, you're beautiful just the way you are.
Aww.
And then they both get really close to the glass, and like he puts his hands on the glass and she makes it look like she's putting her hands on the glass. And because there's glass between them, it's like they're really, like she's really there and they're really touching, and he sort of feels like, oh man, it almost feels like she feels warm on like there was a person's hand on the other side of the glass that would cause it to get warm.
Oh, Billy.
In both routes, by the way, too, we get this very abrupt, like you're kind of with Tsugumi or Sora, and then out of nowhere, darkness spread out before my eyes. Like, it's
that was
just
really
like,
weird. It was really strange because it's just like, and then Tsugumi made a smile. And I was really happy. She actually smiled for once. Darkness spread out before my eyes without limit. It spread nothingness. The void was endless, and it was just like, what? You can't do that.
Yeah. It's a smash cut to like the dark water kind of thing, and then
kind of like Kid's Deep Blue Dream, but without as much detail.
It's got the same swirly Gigas face in it, though.
Yeah, it's got that coming in it, and he has like this dream of like the blue and black like consuming him, I think, or penetrating him. And he's like it's like he's kind of like becoming darkness. It was an abyss, and then like that's how everyone dies. I'm dying. I was death. And then he wakes up at like 3:17 in the morning, and it's like that was a shitty way to start the day. So like he sneaks out of the conference room, and that's the end of day 4.
Yeah.
That's the tog.
So he's having those same dreams as Kid. Which could be that he could lead up to him being one of the people who's
he could be the third pod. Yeah,
he could be the third pod. Why?
Well, I don't know.
So because Tsugumi, Kid, and Takeshi are present in both timelines, you could be like a person clone weird thing. Then there's Mayo and Coco, which switch places, so there's some weird thing, and then Sora, which is a robot. So, I mean, the problem could be that Kid and Takeshi are they forget their situation, but Tsugumi isn't. I mean, it's clear Tsugumi isn't forgetting the loops, and also is some kind of superhuman.
Oh, there was one thing though. There was this part where she and Sora were talking. Tsugumi and Sora were talking, and she asked this question to Sora, and question is, "Do you know anything about my past?" And Sora says no, because she doesn't. And then Tsugumi's like, "Okay,"
which leads up to the idea that Sora is being rewritten or rewriting herself without retaining memories of previous loops. So she might not be aware that this is happening in fully aware, but because she's a learning algorithm, she might be responding to events in a way that seems like she's sort of precognitive perception of what's happening.
Responding how?
Responding how?
Respond!
Oh my
close
god!
To the secret, Sora's become sentient.
Oh man!
But just because
you know what?
Tsugumi has a hamster.
Because
as good as these points probably are, this is probably a good point to make a break, because I think in day 5 we're gonna learn a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, as the person who read ahead on day 5, so like right now on my end, I got there's a rat, and then actually she's got a hamster, and it's pretty nice. Day 5, I will say just in advance, here's a little bit of something for the people listening to hold you over to next time. Day 5, Tsugumi's path gets incredibly fucking real.
I will tell you too, honestly, day 6 is kind of the last day, so
finish it up next time.
If you're at the finish line, we might.
Totally.
I'm thinking. Yeah, I think I'm gonna worry. Ending is a little longer than Kids, but yeah.
Sorry, my dang call dropped.
No, that's okay. You're back.
It's fine. I'm back.
We were just saying.
Everything I said is recorded.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. So that's gonna be a fun editing challenge for me. No, that's fine.
That's 3 times.
Just leave it as
3
is
times.
and just have us all talking over.
Right. All right. So the thing, a couple. I think Jim and Ty read day 5 ahead.
I did not know.
I'm sorry. Okay, Ty did. Yeah. So Ty is he was saying like shit gets real on day 5. Day 6 is the finish line for Takeshi. So I think next time we're gonna be reading through Takeshi.
Yeah.
What do you think
to
of
the
that?
end? Yeah.
Yep.
So should we read to the end and then go ahead and like go through the path that we the other path, or are we going to be getting like a cool save file that has all the paths on it, or like what? I figure we're gonna have to run through this all ourselves.
I think you're gonna want to. And the reason I say that is because of the skip option that says like show me things I haven't read. Like, if you get a save file, it's all red, so you have no idea what's different or not. Like, at that point, it's like, you might as well just read it.
And it'll be quick enough, because you'll get through all the parts you haven't read, and you can just kind of skim over it, since you know, to a certain extent, what's happened.
Yeah, I've read the 4 things, and they're like, exactly.
Yeah, especially because we're going to hit, like the 2 we've done so far is Kid's Path and Takeshi's Path, which are, there's a big branch there. But as we go back to the different people you're going to romance, that goes a lot quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially Mayo's path. You need 3 points to get with Mayo, so like that's super easy. Takeshi might be a little more complex because he needs like 17 points for Tsugumi or 14 for Sora.
Do you know how many it is for lap 2? Because that's probably what I'm gonna do. Is I'm just gonna make a save right before the end, and then finish up Tsugumi's thing, get the bad ending, and then reload that and hopefully get the good ending.
The lock point is... Where's the lock point?
Oh, well, I mean, you know how there's
VNBC
reduced cost, like there's a reduced thing afterwards, like the second lap you get a reduced cost, kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing, yeah. So that's not quite as true with Takeshi's Route.
I would just, at that point, I would just cheat. Because, I mean, there's only
there's a
time limitation,
Yeah, no, exactly. But like I'm saying, like the difference is too, they don't take long at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna probably, it's annoying. Like say, like click the skip and then tick the choice and then like wait a couple of seconds and then click the next choice. But if you know what you're doing, you'll get to new shit and through it probably. I mean, I'll actually do it after we finish this part, but I don't think it'll take that long. But worst case, if there's a logistical issue, maybe we'll take a week off to figure it out or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is the consensus we finish up Takeshi for next period, and then we do
finish
another
Takeshi.
one? We do another one where it's just trying to get all the endings.
Well, I think we can talk about it like as next time because then I'll have done it. But my plan was like, let's finish up Takeshi here. Let's get both endings for session 8, and then we can talk about true final ending for 9.
Yeah,
and
that's a good one.
Probably beyond. Yeah, and true ending's going to take a little, too. It's probably going to be like more than one, but I'm trying to find a good dividing point for it. It's very long, but we'll see. All right, well, thanks for listening, everybody. Okay, bye.
Next time, read to the end. Hooray!
Read to the end. Read Takeshi's Route. All right, take it easy.